from Southern Maryland's weather leader. This is a JB Weather Alert.
Good morning, I'm Forecaster John Bordash with you here still in the JB Weather Center, continuing to track a dangerous Hurricane Ida, now really coming in here onto the southeastern Louisiana coastline, getting ready to make landfall down here near the Grand Isle area down here in parts of southeastern Louisiana. So right now, Hurricane Ida sits at really the upper limits of a Category 4 storm. It is very close to reaching Category 5 hurricane strength. Winds currently are sustained in the center of the storm, or around the center of the storm in the eye wall, right around 150 miles per hour. We are seeing wind gusts as high as 185 miles per hour within this eye wall. And what I do want to do is come on over and show you live radar right now. We're able to track Hurricane Ida live with our William Richmond Inc. radar. And what we're able to see is really a well-defined eye here, getting ready to move on shore here in the southern parts of Louisiana. What I will show you, which is very interesting, and this is a phenomenon that does not occur very often with these storms, and when it does, and we're able to see it on radar, it's rather remarkable. This is what's going through, it's called an eye wall replacement cycle. And this is what is helping to limit Ida from reaching Category 5 status at the moment. An eye wall replacement cycle is a cycle that a mature hurricane will go through, where it rebuilds an eye wall within itself. And it does that as the storm is attempting to get stronger. So what we will see here, if I could just turn off the national radar, we have essentially two rings of very heavy precipitation. We have one, and I'll bring up the telestrator here. We have one right here around the eye. This is the original eye wall. This is where those strongest wind gusts are. But we also have an additional donut-looking area here of, and we can see the latest radar update just came in there, an additional donut area of heavy rain and gusty winds as well. This is going to be the new eye wall here of Hurricane Ida. This eye wall is expanding as the storm is expanding, and this will help to increase the wind field size as well. When hurricanes go through an eye wall replacement cycle like this one is doing right now, temporarily it will limit intensification so the hurricane can work on regathering kind of what's going on underneath the hood. However, after the eye wall replacement cycle is complete, storms will very quickly continue to gain strength. And that's what we saw happen overnight last night, which allowed this storm to go from 105 mile an hour Category 2 storm about 12 hours ago to now 150 mile an hour Category 4 storm that's coming up here close to Category 5 strength. I don't think that this storm will have enough time to complete this eye wall replacement cycle, because as soon as this comes on land, that process will end. So I think right now we have kind of stabilized here with intensity. Given current trends, I don't think, if it hasn't hit Category 5 strength, I don't think it will. However, I would suspect when we go through postseason analysis of the storm, we will identify that this storm has probably already hit Category 5 strength, which I'll establish after the fact once I have more time to go through all of the data. But we do see this coming very close here to the shoreline here, and this is using the National Weather Service radar out of the New Orleans office there, centered in Seidel. And what we can see, and I'll just do this as a 1 hour loop so we have time to look at everything, you can see how this storm is wobbling here to the coast south into east to Yuma, getting near Grand Isle. You can see how this greater ring here of rain, that developing eye wall, is currently situated, how it's gaining strength, and as we push this onshore, and this is really where those strongest hurricane force winds are going to be, we can see that that's going to come right here into Yuma and near New Orleans. Let's come back over here to our graphics, though. What I do want to show you is we do have an extreme wind warning in effect here for coastal portions of southeastern Louisiana. This is about to expire, though, and they'll reissue a new one. These are very rare alerts that get issued. These only get issued when we have landfalling hurricanes that are going to bring 115 mile an hour winds or greater to an area. So right now, we're honing in on this area here, shaded in red for that extreme wind warning. This doesn't include New Orleans at the present time, but it includes areas just to the south of New Orleans and a lot of these zones here. And again, we'll see additional ones get issued. Probably one will get issued for New Orleans. We might see one get issued issued for the Baton Rouge area later on this afternoon. As we move forward, though, what I will show you is that we are still on cue to see those catastrophic impacts here across southeastern Louisiana. That area there shaded in the white, with areas there shaded in pink showing extreme impacts. We're talking 10 to 20 inches of rain. We're talking upwards of a 15 to 16 foot storm surge and those devastating winds that we're going to see. And we also have a tornado threat. We do have a tornado watch in effect for much of southeastern Louisiana, southern Mississippi, southern Alabama, and western portions of Florida, really from about Destin Beach all the way over to New Orleans and up to about Hattiesburg. That is an area where we could see the outer bands of Ida move on shore, bring with it some brief spin-up tornadoes here. One of the more powerful graphics I do want to show you right now, though, this is the wind field analysis here from the National Hurricane Center as of the 11 o'clock advisory. The area shaded in red, that is the area where hurricane force winds are estimated to be, and that's at least 74 miles per hour, but we have winds all the way up to 150 miles an hour in the center part of that red circle, and gusts as high as 185. That orange and yellow circle, those circles denote tropical storm force winds. The yellow circle is the base minimum for tropical storm force winds, 39 miles per hour or more. And the orange circle would be strong tropical storm force winds, or winds that are at least 58 miles per hour. So hurricane force winds are moving on shore right now. Those 58 mile an hour wind gusts and sustained winds are moving even further inland now, getting near Yuma, getting close to New Orleans, and we have those tropical storm force winds of at least 39 miles per hour pushing now into southern parts of Mississippi, getting into the Baton Rouge area as well. I do have the forecast cone overlaid on this right now. I do that to show you that this storm, as has been the trend for most of its life, is staying more to the eastern side of this cone. So what that's going to allow to happen is get some of these higher wind gusts into the metro New Orleans area. But New Orleans is not the only populated area in southeastern Louisiana. Yuma has a population of, I want to say, over 200,000 people. Seidel is a pretty heavily populated area. Hammond's a pretty highly populated area. And, of course, Baton Rouge and Lafayette as well. So we're probably going to see that these hurricane force winds are going to come well inland, and we're going to see some of these stronger gusts get into some of the bigger metro areas. The wind forecast, and I made this yesterday, and it still looks to be holding true. We're probably going to see 110 mile an hour plus wind gusts get as far inland as Franklin, just south of Baton Rouge, and just to the west of New Orleans. We're going to get those hurricane force winds of at least 74 miles an hour, likely as far inland as Baton Rouge, getting into southern parts of Mississippi, and then we'll get those hurricane force or tropical storm force winds as far out as Mobile and going much further inland as well. So this is going to be a very interesting situation we have unfolding across much of the region, or much of southeastern Louisiana this morning. As we head towards the afternoon, you can really see how things are shaping up right now. What I will do is get on our wind analysis layer, which does take me a minute to render, so do work with me with that. What this will allow us to see, though, is how winds are currently stacking up with this. And I will quickly state, this area here in red would be that tornado watch we have in effect currently through 7 p.m. Central time. So let me go ahead and get that wind analysis loaded up here. Let's go ahead and get that filled in, and we will get our wind gust loaded up. But we want to make sure with our wind gust, I don't want the colored arrows because that only makes things a little bit more difficult. All right, so as we take a look at this right now, our current estimates show that we do indeed have tropical storm force winds denoted here by the lightest yellow, getting as far north as Hattiesburg, getting on over towards Macomb, getting into Baton Rouge. We're getting those hurricane force wind gusts here, shown primarily by this more pinkish color here, now beginning, and these would be hurricane force winds getting near New Orleans, entering into Yuma, and where we have these areas here in gray, these would be winds of at least major hurricane strength, at least 115 miles per hour, and we see that beginning to come on in here. And one of the big areas that's going to see one of the biggest impacts would be Grand Isle. This is a resort town down here in southeastern Louisiana there along the bayou and the delta of the Mississippi. It's a very small island. If you're in the mid-Atlantic, I would very much compare this to almost kind of like an ocean city. It's not as built up, but that kind of island format. And this island is not going to stand up very well against this massive hurricane. Now, our future cast here, let me go ahead and make sure I have that layer loaded up here as we kind of march this forward. Let's go ahead and get that applied. What we will do is, let's push this forward here to right around noon. We can see that eye getting very close here to landfall. Our model shows right here in Grand Isle winds getting up over 125 miles an hour, and I believe that there's still about 24 people that stayed behind on Grand Isle, which could definitely be a decision of life or death that they made. So we'll have to see what happens there. We obviously are not hoping for that at all. We want as many people to make it out of this as possible. But our model continues to stay the course, showing landfall here south of Huma right around 2 o'clock this afternoon. But we are still bringing these onshore winds here into New Orleans. If we just take a look at this, we're getting wind gusts here up near hurricane strength, and we are seeing that these winds are coming onshore, and that is going to help to push in some additional storm surge. We could see up to 4 to 8 feet of storm surge here along Lake Pontchartrain here into parts of New Orleans. But as we push this forward, let's go towards 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. We then see some of the worst weather get right into the Huma area. Baton Rouge is really starting to see things go downhill, and the storm is beginning to slow down some as it moves onshore. By about 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, we see the storm is trying to move a little bit more due north, not moving too fast and not moving much at all, but eventually by midnight tonight, getting into the Baton Rouge area, and in New Orleans, you're still seeing crazy wind gusts, and down here in Grand Isle, still seeing extreme wind gusts as well. So this is going to be a rather high impact event. Again, we're talking about very high winds across much of this region as we continue to track all of this as the storm pushes onshore. Just to show you again, those hurricane force winds there shown there in the red denote where we are going to see at least 74 mile an hour winds, not just gusts, but sustained winds move onshore. So this is going to be very much a life-altering type of situation we have ongoing here across parts of the southern Mississippi Delta. I will come back on over here, though, and give you a look at our latest infrared satellite imagery here. What we can see in this is just a 1 hour loop, and this is an image that gets updated every minute. You can see how the storm is moving closer here, getting ready to make landfall, where we get some of these brightest colors, these bright pinks. That would be indicative of colder cloud tops, and what that means is that those are going to be taller clouds associated with thunderstorms, and that means the taller the cloud, generally, we're talking about stronger thunderstorms, greater winds, heavier rain. So we're seeing that now begin to push here into Huma, and definitely here in the parts of Grand Isle. We're seeing that push into New Orleans, and if we were to do this as a 6 hour loop, so you can see kind of how all of this has looked since this morning, and this speeds up the rates that we see the infrared satellite imagery load, but you can just see as the sun rises and how that storm is now pushing closer towards the coastline. So this is going to be a high impact event for a lot of different areas. We will continue to watch this, so stay weather aware, especially if you have any interest out in this region. This is going to cause a high impact, a catastrophic impact, and widespread damage across southern Louisiana. We will see this translate into some impacts here in the mid-Atlantic as we head on over towards the middle parts of the week, but right now I'm going to give my full attention down here to the Gulf Coast, because this is the area that needs the attention, and this is the area that we need to be talking about, as this is going to be a historic and record-breaking storm that's going to be making landfall. But stay with JB Weather. I will continue to keep you updated on Facebook, on Twitter at JB_weather, and I would really recommend following the Twitter, Instagram at JB Weather, on the website jbweather.net, and you can get updates at all those locations as we move forward here. But have a nice and safe one. I'll be here in the Storm Center continuing to track everything, and I'm sure we'll do another one of these lives later on today. Have a nice and safe one, and please keep it tuned right here to JB Weather.
Check the forecast anytime online at jbweather.net.